Chapter 21, B. We return victorious. The file restarts. The Major has cleaned his outfit, bandaged his wounds and reorganized his team, exactly as if he were going back into battle immediately. He stands at attention, surrounded by a few well-organized units that are supposed to pay tribute to him. Among the troops lined up are the Major's men, whose faces express pride at having fought valiantly, but some don't mask the pain of having lost friends, brothers. General Warburg walks up to Seïndi and pins a shiny insignia on his chest. Major Seïndi, I appoint you a Diamond Knight in recognition of your exemplary conduct as a noble fighter for your country. Your courage and feats of arms will be cited as an example, your bravery will guide us. Today, you are our champion. The senior officer turns to the men, offers a forced smile and applauds ostensibly to encourage the others to do the same. And, as the units present imitate him, General Warburg approaches Seïndi, grabs him by the shoulder and declares, almost friendly, "Bravo, you've amazed us all today. You're the only one to have succeeded where all the others have failed. Here, come with me, I'll let you in on the apotheosis of our mission." The Major reacts in surprise. "What do you mean? Haven't we finished?" "No, we're not." "No, of course not," replies the general, leading Seïndi towards an impressive missile-launching vehicle. A long procession follows close behind, and the speeches begin. Some praise the hero, others flatter the general. Only the elite guards of the senior officers remain silent and impassive. Silent and impassive. Then the general speaks again. "My friend, thanks to you we have won a great victory over our enemies, but now we must complete the operation. To do so, we must totally destroy this despicable city. It will be more profitable. Here's the remote control that controls the firing of the nuclear-tipped missiles." Seïndi steps back, staggering. His face suddenly shows a mixture of incomprehension and fright. It's obvious he's wondering how the death of all these civilians can be so coldly contemplated. The Major asks, "But why?" "No." The general tries to channel him, "Don't argue, that's an order. If you don't have the courage to obey, others will do it for you." "But I can't hide my surprise at such a turnabout, Major," Seïndi insists. "But the city is ours, we've won. We've destroyed all resistance, so why blow it up now? There are millions of civilians. No. Don't do it." To everyone's surprise, Seïndi grabbed the remote control and switched on his energy glove. Immediately the device melts. The launch pad remains silent. The missiles don't go off. Stunned, the general stands still for a long moment. Then he raises an avenging fist, "Seize this traitor." 6 men pounce on Seïndi, trying in vain to subdue him. In less than 10 seconds, they're overpowered. The Major is without doubt one of the greatest masters of Jacquerie, the ultimate martial discipline. "Shoot him. Kill him," shouts Warburg, at the height of his fury. Using his anti-gravitational equipment, the Major takes off and ejects protective spheres. He then positioned himself to the right of the audience. The fireballs from which he bombards the ramp fall on the missile's launch pad, which collapses in on itself. The Major has become the sole target. All those who had congratulated him 10 minutes earlier are now bent on destroying him. The heavy artillery is mobilized against him and the seismic cannons inflict a furious jolt that throws him backwards. Instead of staying in the path of the combined fire, Seïndi flies to the first nearby mound and hides behind it. Once on the ground, he realizes his mistake. Instead of dodging a multitude of shots, he's going to receive them head-on. He barely has time to eject new defensive spheres before the killing begins. He's completely surrounded. Suddenly, impacts riddle his magnetic field shield. He bows, drops to one knee, brings his hands to his face. His eyes close. Then, in a magnificent burst of pride, Seïndi screams into his voice command, "Defensive explosion." Immediately, all the spheres remaining in its reserves are automatically lodged in the protective dome, and instantly release their full power, expanding the defense perimeter to 50 times its original size in record time. An opening forms at the top of this energy dome. Opposing shots hit the barrier ever closer. The vortex of dazzling lights forms a gigantic, energetic maelstrom in the half-light. Seïndi engages his rockets, takes up a commanding position 130 feet above the ground and returns blows with fury. An impressive number of incandescent dashes burst from his hands, destroying many of his enemies. But then another wave of warriors appeared, leaving the Major, now alone and defenseless, no chance. His battle seemed lost in advance. He stands up to his assailants and gives them a look full of anger and dismay. The men stand still for a brief moment. These few seconds seem to last for hours. They stare at each other. But, inexorably, death approaches. The shooting resumes, hitting the Major from all sides. His blood spurts, and in a few tenths of a second, his body is dismembered. His flesh implodes and disintegrates. A vague human form crumbles to the ground. The hero of the day has just been pulverized by his brothers in arms. After a long silence, the soldiers congratulate each other. Then, gently, an icy wind sweeps across the battlefield. The images freeze on the screen. The selection page reappears. Light floods back into the room. I hold my head in my hands, perhaps to hide my grief and the violent emotion that has taken hold of me, as well as the tears I can't suppress. Gabriel, on the other hand, falls backwards, his eyes wide open. His chest rises spasmodically. He seems lost. Then sadness overcomes him. Memories assault him. He can't hold it in and bursts into tears. The silence is almost total, hurt only by our groans of pain. Jacques gets up and leaves us alone, also wounded to the depths of his soul. Our father was his friend. A true friend. A member of a family we choose. Time drags on. It grows dark in our hearts. From this pain emerges a choice that is no longer ours. To leave. Far away, and very quickly. I've never felt such intense pain. No battle, no physical violence can compare. It's like losing my father all over again. He was more than a reference for me, he was the solid reference point on which I built myself a little more every day. I saw him as the perfect example for me to follow. I loved him dearly, and discovering all this has plunged me into a bottomless sea of sorrow. It will take me more than a few hours to get the hang of it. For now, I'd better move away. Head for the bedroom. My cocoon of sleep will be the best isolation. It's getting late. We'll all pretend to be asleep. But grief and darker thoughts will keep us awake.